afternoon. Minister Lametti, I'll direct my questions to you. In a June 10th CBC report, federal sources said that the Liberal Party's private database, Liberalist, that tracks Liberal Party members, supporters, volunteers, and donors, was no longer being used to vet judicial appointments. On what date did the use of Liberalist to vet candidates cease?
Madam Chair, on a point of order.
Please go ahead, Mr. Virani.
So it's a referendum here in the committee room. I'm just wondering if you could establish the relevance of Mr. Cooper's line of questioning. We're not talking about the general appointments process. We're talking about a very specific appointments process that relates to the Independent Advisory Board and the role of Madam Campbell on that board and how that produced an appointment of the caliber of Justice Jamal. So if you could make a determination as to whether this line of questioning is relevant to that process. Thank you.
Madam Chair, on
the same point of order, Mr. Cooper?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. As you noted in your opening remarks, there is a fair bit of leeway afforded to committee members to ask witnesses questions, and I would submit that having regard for that, the question is pertinent to the judicial appointment process more broadly, and I would say that in light of the substantiated allegations of political interference by the PMO, including the use of Liberalist, that the perception that the integrity of the appointment process has been undermined is real. And it is important.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Maloney.
I just want to echo Mr. Virani's comments. Mr. Cooper using the language that these have been substantiated, with all due respect, is not accurate. They're allegations, baseless allegations, in my opinion. They have no place in the discussion today. Mr. Cooper started his questioning by acknowledging the high caliber of the appointment of Justice Jamal, and I think this discussion just takes away from that, and we should move on and focus on the issues at hand.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. So I'll just, is it on the same point of order, Mr. Moore?
It is, Madam Chair. I think
if we can just, get going. I don't want to lose a lot of
absolutely.
time.
I'd like us to get going. And on that point of order, I mean, Mr. Cooper's barely got his question out. Minister Lametti is a seasoned pro. He knows how to answer questions. He's used to difficult questions. Let's allow Mr. Cooper the ability to ask his questions. He only has 5 minutes, and the other members, they get to ask their questions. They can ask whatever lob ball they would wish of the minister. So I'm just hoping we can get on with the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, myself included. Now, Mr. Clerk, I see your hand raised. Is that a point of order from Monsieur Fortin?
Yes, it is. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Go ahead, Monsieur Fortin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, indeed, on the same point of order, Madam Chair, I simply wish to have it noted that Justice Jamal seems to me, his competency is beyond questioning, so I have no need to question that, and we will be able to put him a number of questions to him on a number of topics, and that's wonderful. I thank the committee and the minister for giving us this opportunity. But at this point, right now, we're meeting the chairperson of the advisory board and the Minister of Justice to discuss the nomination process. That's what Justice Lametti has discussed with us, and that is what the Right Honourable Kim Campbell has been talking about. We're talking about the nomination process. So whether or not you like Mr. Cooper's question, and I'm not a member of the Conservative Party, I just remind you of that, nevertheless, we are here to discuss the nomination process. So if some of us don't want to hear about it, well, we can leave the committee. But right now, that is our topic. The IAB and its nomination process, and I have questions about that process. Otherwise, why are we here?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fortin. And I'll just say to members, please keep your questions around the Supreme Court nomination process. We're not talking about the general appointment process for all of our judiciary. We're here specifically to deal with the Supreme Court nomination. So Mr. Cooper, please go ahead, and if you can just reframe your question to that scope that we're in discussion with today. You have 2 minutes left on, well, you have 2 minutes into the clock.
I'm 2 minutes into the clock. Well, I would just invite the minister to answer the question that I posed to him. I think Canadians deserve an answer to it.
Go ahead, Minister Lametti.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you, Mr. Cooper, for your question. Always good to see you again. I have answered that question many times publicly, Madam Chair. In my evaluation of ordinary judicial appointments or elevations, I do not use Liberalist in the evaluation of candidates and in putting those names forward, Madam Speaker. And I can't speak to the source or the nature of that article to which he referred. I can say with respect to this process, the Supreme Court nomination process, Madam Speaker, that the board, the IAB, or in terms of my deliberations with the people that I've mentioned in using the short list to find out what people thought of the shortlisted candidates, Liberalist was nowhere near that process, Madam Speaker, and sure that both the ordinary judicial appointment process and this process are of the highest quality, are transparent, and serve the needs of Canadians. And if you look at both the appointment today, the recommended appointment today, and the appointments that I have made since becoming minister, Madam Speaker, they are of the very highest quality, people of all political stripes, people of all walks of life, with the highest amount of diversity in Canadian history.
Minister, are you...
Sorry, sorry, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Lametti, can you just check your mic and move it up a little bit, perhaps? We're not getting clear for interpretation.
Is that better?
That does sound a little bit better. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Cooper.
Well, Minister, are you denying that Liberalist has been used?
As I have said publicly on a number of different occasions, Mr. Cooper, once I have made my recommendation, we do a number of due diligence inquiries, if you will. One is looking at political donations. One is looking at all the sorts of media that a person may have been involved with, just to get a sense of really managing information.
So, Minister,
but I have said, well, Mr.
I want to be
Cooper,
respectful of you. I have a lot of
want to be respectful to finish your answer, Mr. Cooper, which is, I have
did ask
said,
a very simple
Mr.
question
Cooper,
on the
and
very
I'm
simple...
giving you a very...
Minister,
Mr. Cooper, I'm giving... Please let me answer the question,
I'm asking you, are you
Mr. Cooper.
denying,
With
yes or no, has Liberalist been used?
I have told you that I do not use Liberalist in the evaluation, identification of candidates.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker,
Cooper,
on a point of
Mr.
order,
Cooper.
could the witness be allowed to answer the question? Right, we're not here to badger witnesses, let alone the Minister of Justice. If the minister could be allowed to answer the question that was put to by Mr. Cooper.
Thank you,
Madam Chair.
Mr. Varani. I was just about to cut in myself. Mr. Cooper, I've stopped your clock so that we're able to have this conversation. I think the way that we've been able to function as a committee is that member asks a question and a witness answers that question. Let's keep that respectful dialogue going, if that's okay. Please go ahead, Minister Lametti, with your answer.
I only have one other thing to add, Madam Speaker, which is I have never had a candidate that I have submitted been refused in any way, shape, or form. So the process is an excellent process. It's based on quality. It's based on the recommendations of an independent judicial appointment committee. in the various provinces across Canada. Some provinces have more than one. And I look at the quality of the candidates. I look at the needs of the courts. I consult with Chief Justices and the needs of the court. We consult with various members of the legal profession who are placed to give opinions. And I think we have put together an outstanding set of quality
Madam Chair,
and diverse candidates.
Chair, Minister, with respect, I've given you some leeway to answer a very simple question, and that is, has Liberalist been used, yes or no, in the vetting of judicial appointments? Not necessarily just by you.
My role in the process, and my role in the process is, as I have pointed out, Mr. Cooper, the main role in the process in taking candidates that are recommended by the Judicial Appointment Committee and deciding from amongst those highly recommended and occasionally recommended candidates which candidates will move forward.
You have 10 seconds left on the clock, Mr.
Well, I guess
Cooper.
my time has expired, and unfortunately I didn't get an answer from the Minister.